Back. Hey everyone, Oli here, and this is my review of The Androids of Tara, the fourth story of the 16th season of classic Doctor Who, starring Tom Baker as the fourth Doctor. The Androids of Tara is the 101st story overall. It's 4 parts long and is written by David Fisher. The Androids of Tara is also the fourth story of the Key to Time storyline, which dominated all of season 16. So, in terms of my absence, sorry about that. My final year of university was quite hectic as I had a lot of assignments to do. Plus, I was feeling kind of burned out around this time last year, heading to October. So I thought last summer I decided to take a little break, and then we had started Key to Time, and then obviously I had to stop those reviews because I had to carry on with my other assignments. I thought I'd be able to come back, but obviously the assignments kept coming in, and so that little rest turned into a 9 month rest. So I'm sorry again, but now that all of that is over, I'm back with reviews, and hopefully I'll be able to continue with the rest of the Tom Baker era. Part of the Androids of Tara is as follows. It seems that the search for the fourth segment of the Key to Time will prove simple when Romano located on the planet Tara. But in a land where nothing is as first appears, the Doctor and his companion quickly find themselves embroiled in a deadly game of kidnapped, deceit, and counterplot. It is not long before the Doctor himself is locking swords with the dastardly Count Grendel of Gracht, the finest bladesman in the kingdom, who has sinister plans for Romano. So that is the plot of The Androids of Tara, and in my opinion, I think The Androids of Tara is an enjoyable story, had some good ideas, but I do think you got a bit too silly in my opinion. It was a bit of a drag in some places. I do give credit to the production. I like the futuristic medieval feel this story had, especially with the laser rifles and the sonic blades that they would be carrying on to be fighting with. I thought that was quite cool, and then gave it the story some a futuristic appeal with some hints of medieval stuff in it. The castle that doubled as Council Grok is impressive. I really liked the setting of it. The costumes are very good as well, and it suited the story. Some of the action of the story was alright, especially the Doctor and Count Grendel's sword fight. Even though it got a bit boring at times because of the lack of music, I thought it did actually get interesting towards the end of the battle when the Doctor and the Grok were fighting outside in one of the castle grounds where the Grok decided where the Count decided to jump off as opposed to surrendering, where he was obviously exiled. The script was decent, and the direction by Michael Hayes was alright, although I think he could have toned down the comedy just a teensy bit. The plot was okay. It does sound a bit serious, but the story was very light-hearted. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with having some light-hearted stuff in Doctor Who, but I do think there should be a healthy balance of light-heartedness and seriousness. The fourth segment was actually a piece of a statue located near the Count's castle, and Romana pretty much finds it in the first few minutes of part one, but then obviously she's taken away by the Count when he saves her from that awful looking beast. I do like how this story kind of mirrors the Robots of Death in terms of how humans perceive robots or androids, because in Robots of Death, the robots in that story are pretty much compared to The Walking Dead. And then the first instance of this happening was when Prince Reinhardt had said he found it quite eerie that he has an android double walking around, and the Doctor pretty much replied, "Hey, saying androids feel the same way." And I think Xanax said the same thing in part two, saying that you can't really trust androids, and the Doctor said androids pretty much feel the same way about humans. And obviously, don't blame the Prince for saying that, because of the way the androids in this episode were just there, were just looking lifeless and just have this blank expression on his face. It was quite eerie, but at the same time, I feel it was quite funny as well. Them just standing there. I think there was one part. I think when during the outside the pavilion where the Count wanted to try and kill the Doctor. I think it was in part three. The Count and Lamy were pretty much outside. Well, outside the pavilion, and Robot Romano, the Android Romano, was just there and she was blinking as well. But then and the Count and Nami were just busy doing a lovey-dovey thing right there just in front of Romana. And I did find it how funny she was just standing there, was just happening. Some good moments in the story, such as the Doctor and the Count sword fight in part 4. The Doctor outsmarting the Count after using K9 to destroy the Romana android that was sent to kill him, and obviously Romana escaping in the Count's castle grounds on horseback before getting kidnapped a few moments later. I did like how she wanted to try and escape, but she didn't know how to operate. Well, she didn't know how to ride a horse, and because I don't think Romana has even seen a horse on Gallifrey, which is quite funny because I think when the Count rescued her in part one, she didn't know what a horse was. So on to the acting, which I thought was iffy, but at the same time it was very good as well, especially from the main cast. Tom Baker did a very good job of what he was given, although I do think it was a bit comedic again, but I think that's just Tom Baker. But I really like the goofy side of the Fourth Doctor, but I do think it was a teensy bit too much in the story, yeah, especially with him and the Count being so friendly-ish. But I like that aspect. But I do think there could have been some seriousness going on because of what the Count was trying to do. But I did like the ending of the story when K9 was still in the boat outside the castle. Like that was the boat on the lake surrounding the castle, and then the Doctor was just laughing. I also liked how the Doctor just wanted to rest in the first part to take a break from the key to time, because and even the Romano was insistent on trying to find the fourth segment, and he just wanted to go fishing before Zanuck and Farrell find him. I thought it was quite interesting for that the Doctor, but then after that he just pretty much gets on with the quest to try and find Romano and get the segment and get the hell out of Tara. Maritime did a great job. She pulls quadruple duty playing four different characters: Romana, Princess Strella, Android Romana, and Android Princess Strella. But Mary Tam pretty much plays Romana and the princess mostly. Well, she does play Romana for most of the story, I think, but it was still quite interesting. I like how it shows how Romana was able to escape from the cells of Council Croc by stealing one of the utensils from Lamia's laboratory, but she was unable to get the horse to her, as I mentioned before. It was a very cute scene, so to speak. And I also liked how she saved Strella from Kirsta, who was one of Grokt's men, and Shirley pretty much knocked him out with a vase, and then Strella was pretty much teaching Romana how to weave, and that was quite a sweet scene before the Doctor comes into the cell thinking that they're in danger, even though it wasn't that case at all. And K9 once again plays somewhat of a big part in the story, as he does assist the Doctor in some areas, such as him helping the Doctor destroy the Romana android and telling the Doctor that Romana was not the real Romana, it was just an android, and thus ruining the Count's plans and trying to kill the Doctor, and how he helped the Doctor escape from the pavilion when the Count realized that his plan had failed, and how Kanan actually helped the Doctor return to Castle to rescue Romana once again. And he was pretty. I mean, it was somewhat of a big part here, but for part four, he was just mainly in that boat. I think it was done for comedic purposes because the Doctor and Romana pretty much forgot about K9, which was quite funny, so to speak. So the side characters of the story, they were all right. Some, I think they were just, but they didn't need to be more. I think it was an okay number. They all did a very good job what they were given. So the side characters were Prince Rhino. He was the prince that was meant to be the king of Tara, but then obviously Grendel of Grok actually wanted the throne, but then he was stopping any means necessary, even killing Rhino. So he pretty much was in hiding for most of it. So he hatched a plan to try and crown the android as prince in case anything happened to as king, and in case anything happened to Reinhardt, which did happen because Reinhardt was poisoned and was later imprisoned in the Grok cells. So obviously with the android, the Doctor pretty much carried out his plans to try and get the android into the castle. So his plan did pretty much almost work before the android double was destroyed by the Grok by the end of part 3. He was actually my favorite side character of the story. He was quite brave and actually had meaning to the, and he was actually meaningful, even though his android double was quite funny. I think the actor did a very good job playing the android as well. I think there was one part where the android was giving a speech on the throne during his coronation. He was like, the blah 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 protecting. And I liked how the camera just pretty much zoomed into the Count's face, and he knew that was something wrong. And then I think someone was asking the android how he was, and he was like, "I am fine." I think he's definitely a very good actor, and he definitely was made to play the part of Reinhardt. That was Lord Master Zadek. He was the swordsman the master swordsman that accompanied Reinhardt. He immediately trusted the Doctor. Was the Farah, the other swordsman, wasn't really trusting of him because I think he liked the Doctor, but then he realized when Farah accused the Doctor of sabotage and traitorry, but then Zadok was like, it wouldn't make sense. The Doctor's still here. Why would he get poisoned and still be here with us if he was with the Count? But he was very like untrustworthy of the android. He even made a few comments, and then the Doctor was like, responded, the androids feel the same way about humans as I mentioned before. Swordsman Farah, the other swordsman that accompanied right now, he was quite aggressive and less trusting of the Doctor, and obviously accused him of being a traitor. But he started to later trust the Doctor. Well, I think that was because of K9. Because I think when K9 when he tried to attack the Doctor, then K9 pretty much just stunned him. He tried to do it again, and K9 was like, "That's not advisable." He was an okay character, so to speak. We also had Lamia, Madame Lamia, the peasant surgeon and engineer for Count Grendel. She built the androids of Stella and Romana, and she later gets kidnapped. Sorry, not kidnapped. She also gets killed during the plan to try and kill the Doctor in the pavilion. It was an accident, but I think her death pretty much triggers the Count to make him a bit more aggressive and wanted to try and so he can pretty much take the throne for himself, not to speak. She obviously fell in love with the Count, but those feelings are quite unrequited because the Count wanted the throne, and Romana even said to her that if he does become king, he will never make you his queen. And obviously I think that kind of pissed Lamia off, and she just pretty much shrugged it aside. But she was quite pissed off by that comment, so to speak. And finally, we have Princess Strilla. She is meant to be the Queen of Tara, but she was imprisoned by the Count as he plans on marrying her to rule Tara. His plan was to just pretty much kill Strilla by some unfortunate accident, so he can pretty much rule Tara. She is quite confident and strong-willed that she was refusing to marry Rona because of the Count's presence. But then obviously at the end of the story they pretty much get together. So the villain of the story, Count Grendel of Gracht. His main motive was to be crowned the king of Taros, but he wanted to get rid of Reinhardt and Tara by killing them so he can become king. His first attempt to take the throne was failed despite him kidnapping Reinhardt because of the android double that Reinhardt had built, and they were there in the throne room during his coronation, which pretty much shocked him to say the least. But then, and after Lamia's death, he realized that he can, and obviously he knew that Strela would not have any use of. He would not have any use of Strela, so he pretty much had to get Romana to pretend to be the princess, so he couldn't. So Romana and Reinhardt can marry, so his plan can actually come together. He was a dangerous but somewhat of a friendly villain because he was a bit of a very buddy with the Doctor, so to speak. But then I did like the stuff he had with the Doctor. He actually doesn't die because he refused to surrender, and obviously Reinhardt's men pretty much overwhelmed his men, and there was nothing that could be done. So instead of surrendering, he decided to run away, which was actually exiled because of it. He was a good character. I think he acted a very good job playing him, so to speak. But the faults of the story, I think the Android of Tara is a bit too comedic, even though there were some comedic stories in the past, such as the Romans back in William Hartnett era, that had a very healthy mix of comedy and drama. But I think the Android of Tara was a bit too comedic, and it did outweigh the drama in some parts. And it did look a bit silly, like the beast that was trying to kill Romana in part 1. That was just, that was just not a very good scene at all. So and obviously when Reinhardt the android was pretty much when they're under the castle and he just repeatedly like ramming himself against the wall. That was just a very iffy scene. Funny, yes, but I did think that was a bit unnecessary. But you can't please everyone. And now obviously another problem I have is Romana herself. She's pretty much very much a damsel in distress companion now because she gets kidnapped at the start of the story, escapes in part 3, but then she later gets kidnapped again by the Count, which is just not very good because Romana pretty much spent a good part of the previous story captured, so that's just wasn't I didn't really like that aspect of it. But I do wish they did go another way, so to speak. And another problem I found with the story, I think there is a bit of a pacing problem. Like, I think part 4, even though it was a final part, it was quite slow. Even though quite slow, but at the same time, it did feel a bit rushed as well. But I don't know. So to conclude, The Android of Tara is a very enjoyable story to watch. I even enjoyed it, but I think the comedic elements unfairly dominated the rest of the story, and I give The Android of Tara a 7 out of 10. My next review will be The Power of Crawl, the second to last storyline of The Key to Time. Thank you for watching this review, and thanks for bearing with me during my absence, and I shall be back making reviews on a regular basis. And I can't wait to get through the rest of the Classic Who and other reviews as well. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you've seen this video for the first time, and watch my previous reviews, and the stuff to join is in the description box. Until then, see you later.